I want to warn you up front. This is very likely going to get uncomfortable in a good way. So many people out there in our world will tell you about all of the different ways that you can become more confident. The problem with many people in their analysis of what makes a confident individual is that there is this missing piece of what's left over besides our behavioral patterns. How to stand differently, or maybe how to speak with a better, more authoritative tone, or how to manage your eye contact, or what to do with a nice firm handshake. You can master every single one of those behaviors and there will still be something missing. People in the room will be able to feel it. There is an intangible element to the experience of it. This, for me, completely changed how I see myself. And if you're able to stay with me through this, I think it's going to do the exact same thing for you. When we're looking at authority, we're looking at how much personal autonomy and control do I have over myself. And confidence is best described or defined as what is the overall feeling of safety I have, or how much safety do I feel? Here's another way of how I think about it. Authority and confidence are not things you have. They are things that are perceived in you by other people and that communicate one fundamental message. This person is safe to follow. Human beings essentially are wired evolutionarily and neurologically to look for leaders, to look for someone who signals, I know where we're going and I know I can handle what comes next. First aspect of authority and confidence is the tangible elements. Your vocal tone, your pacing, your posture, your stillness. The intangible elements are what's left over after you've accounted for all of that. It's what some people call your presence. Others might call it energy. Some people might call it a spirit or a soul. So there's a physicist called Fabricio Fagan, and he's one of the inventors of the microchip and later one of the most serious scientific thinkers in general on the nature of consciousness. So he made this observation that quantum systems are fundamentally irreducible. You can't simply understand the whole by examining the sum of all of the individual elements or parts. The act of observing a thing is actually going to change the thing that's being observed. So the measurement itself influences the outcome, and you can't stand kind of outside the system and study it without becoming a part of what you're studying. Intangible authority and confidence essentially works the exact same way. This is why people who try the hardest to project confidence often radiate the least amount of real confidence. Essentially, they are observing themselves. So the first element is practice. Your ego, which is the social self, the constructed identity that you've been building since childhood, is not you. It's kind of a projection, and it's the answer to the question, who do I need to be for people to accept me? A person whose identity is fused with their status or their accomplishments or their social position or their possessions even, that person is constantly defending. Every room they walk into is going to be a potential threat. Every single conversation that they have is almost like an audition, and every silence for them becomes basically an accusation. The most genuinely authoritative people that I have ever studied all have this in common. Their fundamental sense of value is not tied to any of that. Who they are is not the resume. It's not the title, and it's not even what other people think of them. And it's from that place that they have nothing left to defend. The practical starting point, and the thing I think that you can do today, is to begin to notice your ego as a thing rather than something that you are. Next, we're going to look at the shadow. And this is a big one. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow. Most of us have an extraordinary capacity to compartmentalize emotional pain, to be able to disassociate from trauma, or to function with great efficiency while carrying something truly terrible that kind of lives underneath the surface. Most of us never go back to that pain. That for as many years as you're alive, unless you're willing to turn around and face it, it's going to leak out of you. It will come out sideways, it will show up in your relationships, in your emotional triggers, and in the way you shut down in conversations that maybe start to get too close to something real. And that leakage essentially is going to read to most people as an instability. This is what gets us into shadow work, which is essentially confronting the unresolved emotional content that you've been choosing to avoid. Shadow work is about fundamentally feeling the feeling that you were never allowed to feel in a context that is safe enough to be able to actually hold it. This is something that is similar to what we see in many forms of therapy. It looks like essentially an honest conversation with people that you trust. When you meet someone who has done this, who has gone into that dark room and kind of turned on the light to see what's there, they walk differently. There is a certain ease to them, almost as though they're not carrying around a secret or hidden backpack that the rest of us are burdened by. And it reads to everyone around them as true authority. First, I want you to start treating your ego as an object, like we talked about, rather than your identity. This means every single day, practice observing it rather than just being it. Notice when it's afraid. Notice when it's trying to perform, when it's being defending, trying to protect itself. You don't have to try to fix it right away or burn your ego or destroy your ego. I am not a proponent of those ideas at all. But just even that scene over time is what starts to loosen the grip of our ego on us. And second, I want you to look for the shared humanity in the people around you before you look for the differences. Practice letting other people off the hook, seeing the reflections of ourselves and others, seeing the deeper stories below the immediate context of what's happening in front of us. Who was that person as a child, and what made them the way that they are now? And then I want you to practice extending that same grace to yourself, to be truly forgiving. Radical self-forgiveness is a massive component of this. The person you were at your worst deserves your compassion, not your contempt and not your dismissal. Let that be an ongoing project. It's not something that we're going to ever get across the finish line of. We don't evolve one day and turn into demigods. This is something that we can aspire to improve in ourselves, and that with each layer that we unravel, will always reveal another layer. It's so easy for us to get zoned out, to get dysregulated and disconnected from what an incredible gift we have to just even be here on this planet. And third, I want you to pick one thing that you've been avoiding emotionally. Kind of a psychological room maybe that you haven't been willing to walk back into. And just start by taking one step toward it. You don't have to go to the whole thing. You don't have to rip off every aspect right at once. Just go one step and start a conversation. Sit with the feeling maybe for 5 minutes instead of reaching for your phone and immediately dissociating. The shadow shrinks the moment you stop running from it. These things grow in the shadows of our mind, and they rely on our dissociation and our lack of a willing desire to truly confront it in order to fester and to grow. For most of us, it's going to be asking you to put down the performance and to actually pick up doing the real work. And that distinction between performing confidence and becoming the kind of person from whom confidence simply radiates, that is the whole game. I don't come to you as someone who claims to be perfect at any of this. I'm certainly not. I'm simply another student on the journey along here with all of you, just sharing some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. The tangible skills will make you better. They will. But the intangible work, The ego, the shared humanity, the shadow, that is what will make you real. And real in this world is the rarest, surprisingly, and unsurprisingly, probably, is the most magnetic thing that you can possibly be. Take care, everybody.